Welcome to yet another of Storytalkies from We-Storytellers. I hope you are enjoying the chats, the conversations, the information and the knowledge that we are bringing to you. Please do share your comments and what you would like to see more of. And so today's conversation is with Arun Gopalaswamy, founder of Recotap. He is a serial entrepreneur. He has been, in the game of entrepreneurship for the almost last decade or so. He has built almost three organizations. Am I right? Yeah.
That's right.
And as of now, he is building a Recotap, a personalization focused ABM product. So this AI-powered account-based marketing platform helps marketers to reach high-value accounts at a programmatic level. So let's explore what it is all about. What does AI-based, account-based marketing platform mean? And let's delve deeper on this subject with Arun. Welcome to the talk, Arun.
Swati,
It's a
pleasure to be
pleasure
here.
to host you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Arun, like as I started off with, uh, you being a serial entrepreneur, and before the talk started, we were talking about, the spirit of a founder and how we kind of visualize or not visualize how the how a particular enterprise will take shape. What is your take on founding companies? Uh, what would you say is it takes to be a serial entrepreneur? What makes you going, motivates you to keep founding one company after the other?
I think that the base would be the passion, right? And then trying to be different than the rest of the crowd, right? Some grit, some courage, and more importantly, the 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 hunger, right? Do something that is beyond you and yours, right? And then how can you bring in some value to the society, and then what can you just give it, right? And I think that is what I think. So from my experience as well as talking to other founders, that keeps this urge, the hunger and drive to do something like that, right? So and I think that's what it is. Maybe some level of stupidity too, right? So where you're going against the odds and then trying to win against, right, the probabilities, right? So if probability of successfully exiting or setting up a business is at like 5, 6%, 4%, whatever, right? So you have a large odds that you are constantly fighting against. But I think so
Mhm.
those things that I talked about just keeps you motivated, right? So and then keeps you in the game.
So when you start a company, of course, there's an idea and there's passion and the fuel of all the good things that you said. And of course, some amount of craziness is also definitely required where you would want to leave the stability of a corporate job and go into venture into an entrepreneurship.
Correct.
But when do you decide to move on to the next product or idea or you know next big step or a jump, as you would call it?
Sure. Yeah. I think once an entrepreneur and you tasted some of those challenges, success, opportunities, and then the way I think you operate basically changes, right? So in a corporate sort of a setup, so you have like a set amount of responsibilities, your boundaries, right? And you try and operate it, and there is always a support in case you're not able to meet that or you have to overcome certain challenges. But in this case, you're actually like setting up the game, right? And basically you like frame the rules, frame whatever, right? And things, some are in control, the others are not, right? So and if you start playing this game, so I think it's very difficult to go back and then sort of operate in a set sort of a playbook based kind of setup, and then you wanted to keep doing this, right? So and I think that's what it is. And then more people that I talk to who've been like a big part of a founding a team, right? Even if there is a
Mhm.
good opportunity, the risk is going and doing that because I think so you lose a lot of flexibility, you lose a lot of this risk taking, right? And you become averse, right? So risk aversion, risk management becomes your primary framework on which you're making decisions, right? Whereas on the other side, startup, right? So it's always like if you take less risk, I think you're again the odds of success is like lesser and lesser, right? And I think it's sort of once you taste this blood, it's very difficult to go back and taste something else, I think.
I think that's what it is, definitely, and it definitely sets the tone for the next venture that you would want to go ahead with. Coming to you have been into the marketing and technology space throughout your career and the founding years, etc. So through these 2 decades of overall, how have you seen the martech scenario evolve, and where do you think it is going? Has it changed from when in the early 2000s till now? How has it changed, and where do you see it going forward?
So just for some context, right? So I've been in the corporate space for about 16 years and 8 years as an entrepreneur, right? So it's my second startup, actually, not the third one. Okay. And I was always in the customer, I was building products, right, for Fortune 150 kind of a company, top enterprises, right? And more in I was involved in the engineering side of things, right? It's only when I came to this world of entrepreneurship, so did I understand the nuances of marketing, right? And then how companies succeed, why we fail, and then things like that. Like that is more around how well are you able to, first of all, have that core offering, which is your product, and how well are you able to go and then sell a story, and then how do you go and then convince somebody and create that brand awareness and whatever that is involved in basically letting the world know that there is something like this, and that this is something that's going to be the greatest painkiller or the vitamin for the pain or the opportunity that is there, right? And I think you live or die based on how well you're able to successfully market your offering, right? So of course, there's no doubt that the product wins everything, but just by having that, it is not going to actually do any. It alone cannot move the needle, right? And I think that's what I sort of learned, right? The first startup that I did, right, because I came from that product sort of a mindset, and it was always the product thinking, right? So how do you get the best product rolled out compared to your competitors? And we have this naive thinking that when you have the product, which if we can just build the greatest product, that it will sell itself. And I think more often than not, like everywhere else, we were also sort of getting stuck, and then we sort of we understood that, right, so marketing plays an important role, and hence the second startup was ended up to be something that we're building products for the marketing team. So because I've had that experience from my startup, and the things that we were not able to do, right, scale resources and things like that, and we were trying to draw out some of the best practices from my engineering days, as well as the entrepreneurial venture of the first startup, and then things that could be used for marketers. How do you scale? How do you do things better? Is what we're trying to build in through the second startup, right? So from that, I think so. A lot of changes, obviously, anywhere. So the moment you introduce technology into it, right, and that technology space is something that is fast evolving. Things change I don't know, every quarter, right? If not a year, right? And hence marketing was also a recipient of this technology advancement, right? So there are a lot of things that people had to do manually, which was time taking, and things like that are getting automated. And the more these mundane tasks are taken out of humans, so humans can actually focus on much a higher value proposition in terms of whether how you communicate a high-value problem with solution and things like that, rather than just worrying about, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like setting up a campaign or whatever, right? And I think so from that perspective, so there's a lot of advancement, and then we are seeing, right? Think of this chat GPT, for example. Everybody talks about it, right? I think it's a disruptor, right? So things like that are constantly happening, right? And then the more of the advancement that is happening in the marketing technology space, the B2C side of things was like fairly early recipient of those technology advancements, right? So not so much in the B2B space, and that's the possibility or opportunity that we are trying to solve for our customers. How can you like have the same level of sophisticated marketing into the B2B space, right? So that's basically what Recotap is.
Right. Very interesting, because yes, in the early days, marketing was more like, one speaking to many. But how I see it from the fringes is that now it has become like, even if one is speaking to many, it feels like one is speaking to one.
Correct.
So the focus has filtered.
Yeah. So I think the
Become more
personalization part
granulated.
is not necessarily anymore a luxury. It is a must-have. Right? We all respond to
Right.
things and messages and communication when it is personalized, right? And that can't be
Right.
different when you are as a consumer, operating as a consumer, where you're buying something for yourself and when you're buying something for your organization, right? So I think it's very difficult to switch on and off.
You brought a very, very interesting and current trending topic into the conversation, chat GPT. And so with the advent of generative AI, the entire content field is feeling that disruption, as you put it. So be it the content in terms of written content or any kind of marketing content, even design space, etc. How do you see that panning out, especially in the context of the generative AI?
I think we are in the very early stages, right? So this became a mainstream topic in discussions like this just in the last couple of months, right? So November is when I think the public release came, and then like people started to test. And a lot of this is like more around that initial curiosity, novelty, and things like that, right? I think this is going to be of help for sure, right? And I think you can see how the market is responding to Google stock prices and how Microsoft is aggressive and things like that. So there is certain value that these technologies seem to be bringing in, right? But I think it's not, I wouldn't say a disruptor. It's a disruptor technology, but it's not that it's going to entirely replace humans. I think it's going to elevate human interventions, right, from to a lower plane to a higher plane, right? So things like basic tasks which humans don't have to do, right, are going to be taken by these bots and robots and things like that, and then you start focusing on much higher value added kind of things, right? And then if everybody is just using the same tool and just producing the same content, right? So in a matter of months, and I think you'll start looking for differentiators. So humans have to step in, right? And I think it's a complementary sort of technology, and it's not a disruptor that is the human race is going to be taken by these machines anytime. So this is my take.
Right. Great. I actually, I think two clubs are getting formed. People who support it, people who don't support it. But either way, it is going to give a tough competition and hence make humans better at what we are doing. Coming back to marketing, what I see is a lot of the stats or the matrices are hovering around, opens, likes, shares, reposts, virality, and things like that. So is it like, marketing is becoming, concentrated towards these things? Or is it still a wider, larger game than it looks like as of now?
I think it's the latter, right? So when we started like leveraging technologies and automations, etc., started becoming mainstream, right? So there has to be a set of measurements which is consistent, and I think these things was easier, right? So let's say the attributions and then how you measure and things like that, right? So it gave a consistent sort of a playbook, right? And a way to measure and then see like how a certain campaign is performing to another and things like that. But I think end of the day, it's all about how you're able to communicate certain message, right? Understand the customer's pain point or opportunities and translate those pain points and opportunities in a way that they can resonate to what you're trying to sell it to them, right? And ultimately, I think that is what matters. And I think that is what we need to optimize for, right? And I think the clicks and impressions and all of that, it could be for the social networks and other networks in which they make money. But I think if you are really serious about finding value to your company as well as to the customers, and I think the core of marketing is, I think, is still relevant. And I think you need to use these technologies as an enabler and not a replacement for you. And then just like latching onto those stats alone is not going to really give you a lot of results.
What is the sea change that you are seeing in the talent around now, post 2020, as compared to before the COVID years?
So obviously the cost of resources have significantly increased, right? So we don't know what has cost, but I think that is one. But in terms of like pre-COVID versus post-COVID, I think it's a very short period, 3 years, right? So things don't change as fast, right? But yeah, I think so. So people that we get, students that are coming out of, let's say, colleges or things like that, right? So they are, so I was just like doing an interview just 15 minutes ago before this call, right? So this person, she's just still in the college third year, right? She's done a lot of multiple internship, right? She's done like some marketing campaigns. She was able to acquire customers for them, and she was really able to come and then articulate, right, and really put her requirement, right, much more clearly, right, and then I think the comparison would be between generations, right, and the generation of the resources, people that are coming out, I think to a large extent, especially when you're coming from cities like Bangalore, metropolitan cities, right, so they exactly know where they are looking, what they are looking for, who should they partner with, right, and asking all the right questions, right? And then they're not shy, right? They don't want to just like wait for other person's instructions and act upon it. They're very proactive, right? And then they are sort of charting their career, right? And then they have planned, right? Maybe in entrepreneurship, you can't plan much, but I think so at least this person that I talked to, right? She has like a clear understanding of what she wants to do, which company that she want to work with, what kind of company she wants to work with, and things like that, right? And I think that's something that's very refreshing.
So over the last 10 years, would you say that it is easier to hire good talent, find good talent, or is it becoming more difficult to find good talent, especially in the startup ecosystem where, long back people used to aspire to work for big names?
Correct.
How is it looking like now?
Sections of this community who's still looking for spending time in bigger established companies, like branded companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, whatever, right? And I think that will continue. But there are like sections of these people who are actually, again, wanting to do something, stand out of the crowd, right? Want flexibility. They want to learn things. Don't want to be, again, instructed, right? They wanted to explore, experiment, right? And the definition of the career itself. And I think I was just advising somebody yesterday, right? So that unlike maybe like our generation, it's not that you have to be an engineer, you have to be a unlike maybe like our generation, it's not that you have to be an engineer, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer to be successful. You can choose like anything, practically anything, right? And then be better at it, right? And then all you need is that curiosity to figure out what is that untapped problem, high value problem that you can find solution to it, right? So whether as an entrepreneur or even through being part of some other company, right? And use that to really build your career, right? And I think that's the approach, right? I would think people of this generation should take, right? And then not just go with standard sort of playbooks, right? So you study, go to IIT, get like high grades, right? Get into a banking or some companies like that, and then just try and like, just go and do what the previous generations may have done, right? So just take risks, just take experiment, and I think so. You just have one life.
And in the same breath, what would be your advice to employers? How to attract the best talent?
No, I
Especially if
think
you are
it
in
has
a
been.
startup, yeah.
It is it's a problem, right? And then if you what has worked for us is really being authentic and trying to communicate, right? Like why are we doing this, right? And what do you benefit out of it when you choose to join us, right? And then we really handpick, right? And if you are willing to put that effort, right? At least at our scale, we are about 20 people or so, and we are expanding rapidly, right? At this scale, it's fairly easy to go on and find the talent. We are because we are like trying to establish that core team, right? Members. We wanted to make sure that the right people come into the team, be part of the team, and then when
Right.
you do that, like when you like give the right messaging and essentially like be respectful of who they are, and then try to tell them that this is what they get and this is what they don't get, right? Short, medium, long term, right? So I think they are willing to take risk and then basically sail with you.
Right. I think that's what startups bring to the table: authenticity, respect, individual respect, and a huge amount of opportunity. Yeah,
Correct.
to grow with them. Yes. So that has been a very attractive proposition for us as well. So
That's true.
thank you so much, Arun. It has been a very, very interesting conversation. I personally enjoyed it, and I hope you also enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was nice chatting with you. So hopefully
Thank
speak
you,
with you
Arun.
again later. Thanks a lot.
And thank you for listening in. Thank you for being part of the Story Talkies journey with us, we storytellers. See you again.